My name is Robin May, and I'll be speaking about child abuse and neglect. Child abuse comes in many forms. According to the WHO, which is the World Health Organization, there are four types of child maltreatment. The four types are physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, and psychological abuse. There's also a form of maltreatment called neglect. The definition of neglect is the failure to provide the development of the child's well being, health, educational, emotional development, nutrition, shelter, and safe living conditions. Neglect is the most common form of maltreatment. In fact, 59% of the reports of maltreatment are classified as neglect. Moving on to types of abuse, starting with physical abuse of a child is when harm from an interaction or lack of interaction occurs. This typically comes from a parent or a person in a position of responsibility, power, or trust. Let's keep in mind there may be one or more repeated incidents of this type of harm. This impacts the child's health, survival development, or dignity, and changes the future of relationships, development, responsibility, power, or trust. Physical abuse also includes the failure to properly supervise and protect children from harm as much as possible. Okay, now let's go to sexual abuse. The involvement of a child in sexual activity that he or she does not fully understand, is not able to give informed consent, or is against the law for social taboos of society. Then we have emotional abuse. This includes the failure to provide supportive environment for the child and actions toward the child that cause or have high chance of causing harm to the child's health, physical, mental, spiritual, moral, and social development. Some types of emotional abuse would be restriction of movement, patterns of belittling, putting down or insulting, scapegoating, threatening, scaring, discriminating, ridiculing, or other non physical forms of hostile treatment. Having failed in providing those nurturing items may bring on harm to the child's health or physical, mental, spiritual, moral, or social development that are normal to live a comfortable and ordinary life. Another form of child abuse is child maltreatment, which is basically all forms of child abuse, including physical abuse, emotional ill treatment, sexual abuse, neglect treatment, and exploitation of children that results in actual potential problems for children as they get older. Also, psychological abuse is coupled with each type of this abuse. As they say, if not healed, broken children become broken adults. Child abuse neglect continues to be a serious public problem in the United States, affecting approximately 19% of the victims and costing approximately $24 billion to society. They are dying at young ages, which, if not stopped or slowed down, will certainly find the future of population of children, now adults, repeating this bad type of child abuse. This is the reason why it is imperative that we learn signs of child abuse, those that are easily seen and not seen. We know that child abuse, rather it be physical or sexual or mental, comes not only from family members but strangers alike. For this reason, all primary health professionals, regardless of their work ethics, need to be aware of the risk involved in this type of behavior. Our children of the future are dying at young ages, with which, if not stopped or slowed down, will find us repeating this bad behavior repeatedly until we become few, very few. In the human service profession, we are riddled with tons of these situations on a daily basis. We need to find some way to slow down the abuse to raise healthier and more intelligent children. Over here on my graph, I have, starting with 2014, this is the victimization rate of children of ages largest increase of all groups for the past years. See, this is how high it got. When we come up here, we see the statistics in 2017. There were 4.1 million reports of children maltreated in the United States, involving more than 7.5 million children. That is approximately 674,000 children were victims of maltreatment. Of these, 74.9% suffered neglect, 18.3% suffered physical abuse, and 8.6% suffered sexual abuse. 1,720 children died from abuse and neglect, and 71.8% of these children were younger than 3 years old. Nearly one half of the children who die from abuse and neglect every year are under a year old. While it is often assumed that children who die from maltreatment are physically abused, in 2017, 75.4% had been neglected, either exclusively or in combination with another form of maltreatment. Some children who died from abuse or neglect were already known to Child Protective Services agencies. Also, then we go to 2018. And we are shown here the rise of child abuse. In conclusion, we must work toward the prevention of our child maltreatment before it starts. How big is the problem? Statistics show at least 1 in 7 children have experienced child abuse and or neglect in the past year. And this is more likely than not an underestimation. Due to the low reports of abuse, children living in poverty experience more abuse and neglect. Rates of child abuse and neglect are 5 times higher for children in families with low social economic status compared to the families with higher social economic status. As a society, we should, and we must push awareness and reform for child abuse and the strategies used to help those who have suffered and continue to suffer. Thank you.